Good morning, beautiful people. I hope we're all enjoying this midsummer. Yes, midsummer. I can't believe it. I think I say this every summer because I love the summer. Like I would live in summer forever because that's my jam. But I'm not on here today for that. I have a lot going on. I want to put a disclaimer in here that I'm not a scholar, I'm not a politician, I'm not any of those things, but I do believe in the here and now. I do believe in Kairos moments, and I absolutely believe in a bright and wonderful future for my children and now my grandchildren, and we know their children's children, right? Because a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So that is what I'm doing in any small capacity that I can. So I just want to also put out there, I will not be giving any airtime to people who want to dispute or debate. This topic is too important. It's not that I am not willing to engage in intelligent conversation. It's just that we have no time to think about the ins and outs, the ups and downs, the round and rounds. I can't do that because guess what? Project 2025 started, what, 30 years ago? More, right? Rumor has it way back in Reagan. I don't have time for that. So there will be no airtime. There will be no side conversations about moving forward in terms of who I will be voting for. I am here to declare and decree that Kamala Harris solidly has my vote. I want to hit pause, like I said on my Facebook page. I want to hit pause on all these debates and conversations. And I was, approached a few times by a few people in different ways. I don't know. One of the comments on my page said she's been here for everyone. I don't know if they were talking about Kamala Harris or me, but yes, I have been here for everyone. I am a public school teacher. I am a Advent student of life. I have 6 children, all of which I carried to term, but I am 100% for productive rights because in this country, we should be safe and we should be free. Those are the basics to anything that Americans believe in, no matter what political party you are associated with. So, moving forward, why am I here today? I wanted to touch a little tiny bit on identity theft. I love my sister Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President. But I was moved by her willingness to say, I want to earn this. Because, girlfriend, we talk about imposter syndrome, but we also talk about identity theft. I want to be the first to say no one is going to discredit Kamala and her accomplishments. Okay, this is not her first day at the rodeo. She spent the last 4 years as vice president in the White House, up close and personal. One of my favorite movies, okay? But I'm here today to declare that she has a 20-year history of fighting for the issues that are dear and near to my heart. Understanding that the oh Lord, I'm tongue-tied. Mass conservation of people, okay, in prison does not make sense. And if I stumble on any of my words, I mispronounce, get something out of order, I already disclaimed that I'm not a scholar. But I am passionate about loving on you, loving on me, and loving on my children and the future generations and your children, because I'm in public schools. So here we go. This woman was district attorney, attorney general. She's had several times that she has been offered different positions. There was even talk of her being on the Supreme Court. Okay, this is not a woman who has just kind of skidded through life. She's dug deep on issues. She's made colossal mistakes like we all have. She's done amazing things, but only in our dreams can some of us wish to have the career that she has had and the career that she will have. So when I'm approached and asked, like, why am I voting for her? Mass incarceration, thank you. Get it, menopause, but now I got my words straight, thank you. Mass incarceration is a thing in this country. Police brutality is a thing in this country, okay? We know the middle class is practically disappearing. When are we going to have a champion? Now, my hat goes off to President Biden, but we know his work is not done. And he's another one whose career we can only imagine. He's another one that has dedicated his life. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Okay. And I'm going to be all over the place because I have a lot of things I want to say. And I want to make sure that I don't leave anything out. So here are my big points. When Kamala was in charge, and we won't say in charge, but she was a district attorney, she made it a point to ban the death sentence. I am not for the death sentence. Okay, I'm not for that. So that lines up with my internal value system. She also pleaded most cases down to misdemeanors. She persecuted people and tried to get them reinstated into the community by providing job training and different opportunities when men or women return to the community. Okay, she released bills that made communities safer. Okay, now this is all for you to research. I've done my research. And one of the main reasons why this video has been delayed was because I've spent 4 hours yesterday in a meeting to discuss raising money. And I like to say, yes, Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, you have my dollars backing you. Again, she respects and supports productive rights. She also has worked side by side with Biden as he's tried to get loan forgiveness because unfortunately, I'm not a football player. I'm not a baseball player. I'm not Beyonce. Okay, and it cost me an arm and a leg to become a teacher while raising a family, while being a wife, while serving my community. And just because I don't have football in my hand, no disrespect, because I love them Ravens, okay? But I'm not making a Raven salary. So loan forgiveness is something that is dear and near to my heart because I want to be able to serve without being a slave, okay? So we look at her 20-year track record. We can't say, oh, Kamala's not qualified. Kamala's qualified, justified, and sanctified, okay? So let's look at this right now. We do not need business as usual. I know a lot of people on the other team like to say how good a business person, but we don't need business as usual when kids are dying in the street. We don't need business as usual when people can't find affordable housing. We don't need business as usual when teachers cannot live in the districts in which they teach because they cannot afford to live there. Some of my teacher friends are driving an hour to 2 hours to work each day. Sidebar, I digressed. Okay. We're looking at her life. Her life has been dedicated and she's been so strategic, sometimes even passing up opportunities because the timing wasn't right. I just want to say here, over the course of the week in 2019, she was questioning some, oh, hold on, let me get it right. Hold on, hit pause. I tell you we're going to be campaigning on this page for the next couple of months. Dun, dun, dun. I'll come back to that. So, looking again, let's look this over again. She also came against banks and predatory lending, and also looking at illegal foreclosures. She made sure people kept their housing, internal value, mass incarceration, standing up against that, internal value of mine. Pushing for loan forgiveness so people don't go into debt because they want to serve, pay taxes, and live in their communities. Internal value. Okay? Like I said, this video was delayed because I've been spending time in meetings and organizations that are rallying up to raise money for this campaign to make sure America is not part of that project, which I will not give credence to. I can't even imagine. Unless some of you are willing to jump into a time machine and live like we lived back in the slave years. But not me. No, thank you. Done with that. What can I say? I take a breath I take a breath because this definitely has me very excited, and I definitely don't want to leave anything out. Um, oh, but let's also talk about, how people say, oh, she was raised right. She was raised right. Her daddy is a professor, okay, and her mom was a cancer researcher, and that was just among the few things that they did. She was raised by two scholars, and as a person of color, she is the first African American. Well, no, let me slash that back because some people will discredit and say, oh no, person of color. Person of color. Okay? She is the first African American. I said that twice. Lord, let me rewind that and get those facts straight because I want to pay her homage. First Asian and Black American to be vice president. But ladies, whether you are black, white, or everything in between, she is the first woman vice president. She is breaking ceilings that are unheard of, unprecedented. She did that 4 years ago. So what is she going to do with the next 4 years? Let's sit and pause on that. For that alone, I raise my glass to Kamala Harris. So, some side funny facts. One of her favorite books, The Joy Luck Club. That's one of my favorite movies. I watched The Joy Luck Club so many times so that I can get in my head that my self-worth, and so I could understand that people love you to the extent in which you love yourself. That was a big deal for me. So, and like I said, if I have any blubbers on here, blumbers or whatever you want to call them, I'm not a scholar. But I will tell you this. I respect people who have dedicated their life to making your life easier, your life better. Now, has it been perfect? No, but we all have touched and agreed on both political sides that we probably don't want to live anywhere else. At least for most of us. I see some of y'all out there living your best life. I'm taking a pause because I really want this to really hit some points. Yes. Give me a second while I look up some things that I want to bring to your attention. And again, I'm just a messenger. I'm just bringing this back to you from the places and spaces that I've shared with people who are gung-ho and excited about this next election. Give me 1 second. Another one. In San Francisco, she vocally supported a controversial 2010 law that made truancy a misdemeanor and punished parents who failed to send their children to school. The truancy rate ultimately dropped, but some critics saw the rule as too punitive. Okay. Now, I'm not for being punitive. But in many respects, think about this. When kids just disappear and no one asks where they are, like there should be an accountability in the village to ask where the children are. I'm not saying you have to send them to a public school or a private school or a homeschool. However you educate your children is on you. But all of us should be concerned about the well-being of children, where children are. I used to love that commercial in the 70s. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Yes, I used to love that. So see, again, these are all internal values that line up with what I believe. I also believe in a free America. And to me, that other project is not very free. So I won't say the name because I can't do it. Bring you some more facts. Hold on 1 second. You know I'm thinking. And after being recruited to the San Francisco District Attorney's Office by former colleague Alameda, Harris cracked down on teenage prostitution in the city, reorientating law enforcement's approach to focus on the girls as victims rather than as criminals selling sex. Okay, We know that sex trafficking is an issue. Okay? We're not even gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole. But we also know this is an eternal value. Keeping our young girls safe, keeping our young boys safe, because it's not just girls that are in danger. We know boys are in danger too. So I can go on and on and on. I know I've been approached and asked, like, why would you vote for her? Okay, I'm laying it out here today. And like I said, today be the last day that I give any airtime to even talking to or disputing anything someone has put in my inbox or on my page. And I will just kindly delete comments that are on here that are not pleasant, polite, or, powerful. So moving right along. Again, I'm not going to edit this video, but I'm not going to take anything out. I'm just going to throw it up here the way it is because I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this. So part 1 of this video is over. Part 2. If you are not registered to vote, and I'm bringing you intel, if you are not registered to vote, you need to register immediately. 2. If you voted but have not voted in a long time, you need to get in touch with the voting registration team, and you need to find out if you have been removed from any list to make sure that when you walk in there in November, you don't run into any issues. I have run into issues in the past where I've had to go back home and get paperwork. Now, we all know some of that is kind of shady, voter suppression, but you want to clear up that now. So when you're on that line for 2 hours, 3 hours, when you've driven that hour to get to the nearest voting polls, that you have zero issues. Now's the time to investigate that, to make sure that you are ready, and able to vote. That's number 1. Number 2, start gathering your community and making those phone calls. We are all baby politicians. We are all baby community activists. This is what we do. I love one of the things, my BCPS pals, and I'm here representing myself, and I'm not representing any organization or anyone else. This is just Miss Brown. Make sure your impact is local and immediate, okay? And that you are impacting those who live around you, your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues. Talk to them. Not about political parties, not where to vote. Just get on the roster. Just about getting on the roster. This is your God-given right. Oh, and why did I bring that up? Kamala Harris is also not about making it illegal for people to vote who have any prior felonies. Like, come on. We're not going to talk about 34 counts and you can run for president. But if you got picked up for some petty crime, you can't vote? Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Honestly. You talk about eternal value. I have fear and trepidation of losing my voter's rights for any reason. It is one of the greatest privileges I have ever had. I voted for David Dinkins, the first Black mayor of New York. I was all of 18 years old. I was so excited to vote. It meant the world to me. I understand deeply about all the efforts that made it possible for me to learn how to read, for me to vote, for me to be in a biracial relationship. Lives have been sacrificed. People were tortured, tarred, burned, feathered, just so that I can have a little piece of this life I'm enjoying right now. I don't understand, and I will never understand in any world or space that I'm in, why someone would want to go back to being oppressed. And I say this all the time. This is not a white and Black issue. My heart breaks when I watch the documentaries about the Appalachian people who are still up there in the mountains waiting for a dentist to drive by once a year with no health care, living in dilapidated housing. Okay? I wish I could go through the Appalachians and maybe I will. I don't know. I'm still pretty young, even though not according to my teenagers. But I look at the Appalachian people and I'm like, How in America? How? I don't understand. The coal miners, how in America? If coal mining is over as we know it, why aren't we revitalizing those ghost towns where people still live and they're still having children? This is not a 4-year problem. For all you guys want to say, well, it's been the last 4 years. This has been a problem for decades, for generations. If you're not concerned about people of color, go hit that Midwest and that poverty and all that stuff. Come on. This is not a problem that we created overnight. And it's not a problem we're going to solve overnight. So I'm here for all of it. I'm here for all of it. I'm not living in any Peter Pan syndrome where I think the world's just going to be a beautiful place. I think that we can have beautiful spaces in our life that we create. I think that we can do beautiful things to improve our community. I think we can have beautiful moments. I think we can have more beautiful moments. And we can have a robust economy because there's a lot of very smart, intelligent people in America. And sidebar, back to Kamala, Madam President to be, okay, having to earn something. We have very smart people in this country, but until businesses stop disregarding the ability and competence and credentials of people of color, because I've been turned into sometimes a paper pusher with a master's degree and overlooked for things. And I just want you to see a stop sign before you think I'm a mad Black woman. I'm not mad about anything. I'm very excited, I'm very compassionate, and I'm very passionate. But I'm not blind or naive to know that people of color are still invisible sometimes in the workplace, still having to interview for the same job they were hired for every day. So I could go on, but you know what? I don't need to because I'm going to be back on here quite a few times before this election is over. I'm not sure. And for those of you who want to, like I said, take up airtime saying this was an intelligent thing, or there were mistakes, or misinformation, or whatever that may be, did you get up this morning and reach out to your community? Did you do your part? And that's not in a judgmental way, because since I was a child, I believed in people living their best life and their version of their best life and what they want for their children. I understood that was not for me to judge. I understood from a very young age that people should choose their paths. I was a little girl, and my family could tell you. And I had just this internal compass that told me everybody's North Star is what their North Star, what they want their North Star to be. What's your North Star? What is your North Star? What points you in the right direction? And for my dear and near people of faith, don't go for the smoke and mirrors of people who appear to be defending the 10 commandments. But remember the one commandment that Jesus left us, and that is to love your neighbor as yourself and to love God. And all the other commandments hang on these. So when you're jumping in the inbox and you're writing on the pages all those things that are not very nice, did you hang that on love? Did you hang that on love? So that's all I got for now. I want to end this by thanking my beautiful people for just putting up with me and my overzealous self at times. And, I'm jumping on here. I got a lot going on. Pray for me. I will pray for you. It's just refreshing to know that we are on track. Now, there's a lot of work to do, because even though we're on track, we got to get the train and the caboose to the other side. So it's not time for a nap. Chop, chop. You have a nice little action plan I put together for you. Check on your voting status. Check to make sure that your neighbors are up and awake and that they're on the roster. Look in your community ways that you can make it better, locally and immediate. Check for your North Star and your internal values. And I just want to put another sidebar in there. I'm not for people just having their way and doing whatever they want and causing. I love law. I love living in law. I love having red lights. So I don't want to live in a society where there are no red lights. There are no yellow lights. I'm all for things running smoothly. I'm all for doing things in decency and order. What I'm not for is kicking people when they're down. What I'm not for are moms who can't find affordable housing, or people who are incarcerated. I couldn't believe the statistics I read yesterday, that most Black men are incarcerated for the same crimes that white people are incarcerated for, but they're always almost given a longer sentence, a harsher sentence, and very few opportunities when they exit the system. The educational system, well, that's a whole nother video. But the oppression and the learned helplessness that we are teaching our young men in the classroom, because we as a country don't always protect and believe in the youngest and the brightest in communities of people of color, minority communities. Another thing I love about Madam Harris, Kamala Harris. She was part of the first desegregated schools in Oakland, California. She knows all about pressing in. She knows all about having to face adversity and conflict. I can tell you right now, they were not very nice to children who desegregated schools. If you don't believe me, read the story of Ruby Bridges. But that's all I got. I love you, beautiful people. Pray for me as I'm on here that I'm able to, straighten up and fly right. But in the meantime, I pray that you straighten up and fly right, and that we all straighten up and fly right. But I love you. This comes from a very deep place of love and humility. Like I said, I'm sure I had 100 mistakes in this video. But people, don't procrastinate waiting for perfection. Don't procrastinate waiting. I mean, a little fun note before we leave. Do you know why I never went into politics, or I never went into becoming a lawyer? I can't remember names. It is something that blows my mind. I mean, I always joke that I'm the ADHD generation of the 70s. We were just told to, can't you sit down and be quiet? There was no real Department of Special Education at that time. Maybe there was. Let me not say that. But I can't remember names. I say this on the first day of school every single year. I adore my students. I love people to the depths of my soul. But Lord have mercy if I can't remember a name. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of names in my head. But that was one of the reasons I felt that, and I always get so jealous, even though I know it's written down, even though I know there's prompters out there, of the Emmys and the Grammys, when people are just thanking that long list of people. Well, that gives me trepidation, because I'm like, Lord, I'm going to forget somebody. So this is why I just want to say I love you all. You know who you are. And let's do this. Let's get this done. Have a beautiful day. Bye now.